It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast. It is the 19th. I'm a week ahead of myself. It is the 19th of September in the year of our Lord 2024, season 15, episode 11. And if you do the math, that means we've had 11 episodes straight. I believe that's called a streak. 680 times you have been welcome to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, pro wrestling. It's what we do. Welcome. We're so glad that you're here. Welcome to all of our Patreons at Sunset Lounge DFW. So much great content, and we got some things brewing. You don't know. It may look like I'm buying myself, but I'm not. This is the thing we do now. Because look at this. Boom. What? Is that skating at full strength that I see? I believe that it is. That way from me is my co-host and a man that is finally back. And we have a big show planned for next week. Kind of a sequel show to something we did last month. We're gonna let
that is a fair statement. You've been practicing on that point, haven't you?
I'm being more cognizant of where he is now.
That's fair. But no, it's good to be back. Got a lot to cover. It's been a whirlwind, and honestly, it's probably not going to end for another month.
I feel your pain. At the bottom of your screen is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions, and he's back too. You may know him as Ig Bunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
Out doing the stuff for the kids last week. I was working for the show, which we'll get into later.
I still don't understand why you wanted to see that film, but we'll talk about it here in a little while.
We'll talk about it. But hey, speaking of streaks, I bet we have a longer win streak than the White Sox.
Hey, don't talk about it yet.
Okay, that's a tease.
Want to say thank you to LA and Steven and to Ricardo who helped us out while we were shuffling playing the shell game. Also want to say a big thank you to Sunset Lounge DFW producer Ashley, who gave us some reels. So if you saw the reels we did this week, she did that, and it's awesome. We got a lot of traction, so we're going to try to do more of those. I'm very, very excited. So thank you so much. Ashley, who had a birthday this week, by the way. Yesterday was the birthday of the Ginger Ninja.
So really?
Andrew. And then last Saturday, of course, was LA's birthday. And, whatever he did it big because LA. We do want to send a dedication of this week's episode. The other day, we found out about the passing of David Gibson. Now, that name, if you're not here in the DFW area, it may not ring a bell, but he actually has been on our show. He was heavily involved with Asian Film Festival of Dallas, which is my shirt tonight that I bought at this year's show. Whenever he was on the show, he was nothing but gracious. We loved talking to him. He will be sorely missed. So we dedicate tonight's episode to his memory and to his family and his friends, which we are lucky enough to be considered therein. All right, boys, it's time to dive into sports. Let's talk some NCAA football. We find out as Texas plays Oklahoma this weekend, Arch Manning will be your starting quarterback. So get ready for that. Alex, you have a look on your face.
You said Texas plays Oklahoma. That's not until October 12th.
They play Tennessee. I'm sorry. They play Tennessee this weekend.
I was looking at something else, and I heard that, and I went, yeah, you got it.
Yeah. But Oklahoma's got a big game this weekend, too. For some reason, I got those paths crossed.
Well, now they're in the SEC. They're all big games now.
You're not wrong.
Or they're Vandy.
Well, right now, or they're Florida, because I'm not putting anything.
I wasn't going to say it.
No, it's all right. What did I say on this show 3 weeks ago? This team is going to be bad this year. I said that to Steven. I don't know why he thought that we had a chance against Miami, and then he texted me and with talking about the U, and my response was simply, never heard of him. All right, so let's go through some scores from last week. South Alabama. Wow. When you're playing the Demons of Northwestern State, sucks to not only have the under, but take any form of Northwestern State as South Alabama beats them 87-10. Do we need a run rule in college football? Because I feel like some kind of mercy rule has to be looked at this point.
There has been multiple instances already just this year of one team being so dominant that the coaches decide we don't need the fourth quarter. We're okay.
I did read something about that at one point. Kansas State number 13 over Arizona. Florida State loses again to Memphis. North Carolina State, the Wolfpack by 10 over La Tech. Alabama stays at number 4 as they triple up Badger. Number 18, Michigan rebounds, beats Arkansas State by 10. Number 24, Illinois over Central Michigan as well. LSU trying to get the wheels on it. They beat South Carolina by 3. North Texas gets whomped on by Texas Tech, 66-21. Buffalo, 34-3 over UMass. Number 7, Missouri by 6 over Boston College. Oklahoma State, number 14. Yes. Because I can only get 3 destinations. So right now we are live on YouTube, we are live on Twitch, and we are live on Sunset Lounge.
Gotcha.
So
I've been away. I need learning.
Yeah, I thought I had chosen Facebook Live over Twitch, but anybody that wants to tune in, just direct them to YouTube. And if you want to put something on the Facebook page, that'd be great. Let's see here. Oklahoma State 45-10 over Tulsa. Georgia Tech still winning big over VMI. Your beloved Pitt Panthers by 4 over the West Virginia Mountaineers, sir. Golden Gophers put 27 on Nevada's Nan. Michigan and Sparty with a big win, 40-0. Oklahoma beats. Oklahoma played Tulane. I don't know what it was. Tulsa played Oklahoma State. Tulane played Oklahoma. I'm very confused. Notre Dame gets back on the winning ways, 66-7 over Purdue. Number 9, Oregon, 49-14 over the Beavers. Florida dropped. Florida, we got beat by 13 to A&M, and to me, that's not something to shake a stick at. Because A&M is a good team this year. Of course, I say we, but Florida is contemplating the future of Billy Napier, and I understand that.
Did you see the highlight about let Napier and Mike Norvell keep their job until the rivalry game? We need this train wreck.
I did.
Yeah.
Utah State drops by 17 to number 12, Utah. Miami 62-0 over the mighty Ball State. I believe that's where David Letterman went to college. Duke wins by 5. North Carolina by 35. The Akron Zips. I just like saying that, even though it's in Alex's least favorite state in the union. They beat Colgate by 11.
But Akron is my least favorite.
Ole Miss by 40-6. They are at number 5 currently. South Florida got a big win over Southern Miss. I saw some artist renderings of their new stadium. Woo! If that's what they're doing on campus, number 1, I'd like to know where it's going to be. And number 2, man, it looks good. I'm just saying. Let's see here. Anybody else we want to talk about? Number 22, Nebraska, 34-3 over Northern Iowa. Northwestern, 31-7 over Eastern Illinois. Number 2, Georgia beats Kentucky by a point, and that came down to the final moments when a very bad call was made by Kentucky. Baylor over Air Force by 4 touchdowns. TCU loses the UCF by a point. Have you boys seen their space uniforms they're wearing?
They're the same ones as last year, right?
Oh, I thought they had new ones.
I believe that they're
unveiled it. Maybe
I think they are relatively similar, but they have made adjustments, and they look slick last year. I have not seen this year's to confirm.
They look good. I'm a fan of the uniforms, not of UCF, because you're not a national champion
ever.
Let's see. Colorado State loses 28-9 to Colorado. Houston 33-7 over Rice. Number 6, Tennessee 71-0 over Kent State. And Fresno 48-0 over New Mexico State. As we get into the NFL, I went to bed early last Thursday night because I had to get up early on Friday, and I got to get up early tomorrow, so I'll be going to bed early tonight. But I woke up the next day to a text from LA asking me if I was okay about the Tua thing, which I did not know. I saw the footage. He is on the IR. I was surprised to see Jordan Love returning to practice next week.
Well, they did say that there was an ankle sprain, a high ankle sprain that they expected more of. Fortunately, everything was intact in all MRIs. And as one thing we've learned over time, not everybody heals the same way, and there's a genuine chance that they were just being overly cautious with Jordan Love. So
And-
they're having him back is a good thing for the team. Let's hope it's not being rushed.
And
Because
having
Malik Willis looked competent.
he looked good. You and I were both commenting on that as we were
Yeah.
watching things. Christian McCaffrey on the IR, a lot of people's top draft pick in their fantasy teams this year. We just want him to get well. Bryce Young benched, but the team now not saying that we're not looking to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see him go somewhere and get underneath some tutelage of somebody that can help him. That's all.
That's the running joke is any quarterback that's been in Carolina has been garbage. The only time that it's ever been covered up was Cam Newton because of his running ability. But for some reason, Carolina under David Tepper is where quarterbacks go to kill their career and then revive it somewhere else.
Let's see. I need to mute this. I apologize for that noise that just probably came over the thing, and it's not letting me. Now, can I do that? Yeah, now I can do that. Okay. I've taken my tablet off of its station. So I'm trying some different things this week. But you know what I got working? Oh, yeah. We have buttons. I had to buy a little mechanism that works as a ground because we were getting bad line noise off of it. So shout out Amazon. In our fantasy updates, Alex, I'm not saying this, I just don't know because I haven't looked. Did you win this week?
I am the buzzsaw of the league, sir.
Okay,
I am the final boss
Sunday
right now.
That you thought you were going to hit the high score again. So, but I didn't.
did.
I did also win. Alex and I both 2-0. First of all, crazy number because I've never been 2-0 in this league. But I'm also winning by the skin of my teeth. So I need to start putting up some points to give myself a little bit more confidence.
We also established last year I've gone 0-1 for 5 years straight. This is the first time I didn't start with a loss. So it feels weird.
In our Pick'em League, boy, big difference between weeks 1 and 2 for me. I did not do well, but I'm still tied for third on the season. I mean, nobody hit triple digits in our Pick'em League last week, which means nobody got
a crazy start to the season.
As you know, we had everybody was in triple digits in week 1. But oh no, not everybody was in. Okay, sorry. They took week 1. Okay, so we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About half of the field hit triple digits in week 1. Nobody hit triple digits in week 2. I am currently 17-15, staying above 500. But I'm not holding my breath there. Alex.
Oh, I'm in the doghouse.
Got some work to do, but it's early. We're going into week 3. I believe in you. I have faith in you.
I have to tell you there's a reason, but I'm gonna do it off air because I don't want to jinx it.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get into our week 2 recap from the NFL. As we talked about earlier, Miami loses Tua 31-10 in a game that was not pretty. Speaking of games that weren't pretty, should we go down the road a piece?
No.
As Dallas gets dismantled. What did I say on this show last week? And what did I say in the NFC preview? This is a game you circle, and if you put your money on Dallas, you were taking a true gamble because New Orleans circles this game on the schedule because this is, in my opinion, one of the unofficial best rivalries in the NFL. Because these two teams are so close together, you don't worry about travel. I know a lot of Saints fans that were there, and they take Dallas to the woodshed 44-10. Tampa Bay squeaks one out against Detroit as Aiden Hutchinson ties the franchise records for most sacks in a game at 5.5. I like that kid. Green Bay beats Indy by 6 in another one that came down to the end. The Vikings beat Minnesota. They beat San Francisco, and San Francisco was giving them 4. They win by 6. The Jets over Tennessee in a game that I would have gone I went the other way all day long, who they're about to play tonight. Seattle beats New England by 3. Whoa. That was some rough football, but I think Seattle's going to I'm worried about them this week. Commanders beat your Giants by a field goal in that game.
Good. I will say this every time the Giants lose. Good.
Chargers have not chargered yet, but they beat Carolina.
Did you see the crazy stat on the Giants game, though?
Go ahead.
They're the first team to score 3 touchdowns, not give up any touchdowns, and still lose in regulation.
Nice. By the way, Don, your Super Bowl pick in the AFC lost this week. Cleveland beats Jacksonville by 5. You know what, boys? We're only 2 days away from something.
What's that?
The autumn wind being a raider.
I had to take a moment because I was remembering it as 3 days.
Oh, no. Day after tomorrow.
Because I thought it was the 22nd.
No, it's usually the 20th or the 21st is the first day of autumn.
Okay.
Or
I was going off the
all 4 seasons, actually. Yeah. Which means if it's this weekend, tomorrow on Bob and Tom, we'll get the one song they play twice a year, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. And it's Sean Morey's Equinox song that's done to the tune of Aqualung. And I love it. Let's see here. Vegas beats Baltimore by 3 in a game nobody had because Vegas was getting over a touchdown.
Oh, they were getting 9.5. And let me just tell you, the Vegas Survivor League has been decimated because when 93% of entries get wiped out in the first week by Cincinnati, and then Baltimore takes a bunch to the woodshed, it's an interesting year.
Let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
Didn't we do a story last season about the fireman guy that's the big Jets fan who said he wasn't coming back to the games? Because he's there. I just saw him.
No. Fireman Ed said that like 4 or 5 years ago, before Robert Saleh was
but I
brought
thought he
in.
did it again last year after Rodgers went down and things just fell.
Oh God, no! Fireman Ed does not give up because of injury. He gave up because the team was being run poorly. That's called the Mike Tannenbaum effect.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that's right. I said it. Come get some Tannenbaum.
I thought he had boycotted again last season towards the end.
No.
Like just this team was bad. Okay, fair enough.
No, I think he was disappointed, but I don't believe he ever actually boycotted.
And has anybody reminded the Arizona Cardinals that they're the Arizona Cardinals? Because they destroyed the Rams by almost 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, they did. Kyler Murray having a perfect quarterback rating for the first time.
And he's only it's him and Kurt Warner, right? Are the only 2 Arizona
the only 2 in the Cardinals, yeah.
It's insane. Don, your Pittsburgh Steelers covered. You beat Denver by 7. Not sure why.
Man, Tomlin's on the way to a winning season again, isn't he?
Yeah, he ain't gonna go nowhere. He ain't gonna go nowhere.
Kansas City beats the team that says they're the team to beat in the AFC.
Who are now 0-2.
Yeah. Again, you're the champs until somebody tells you otherwise. Now,
and again, you're the Bengals. Shut up.
On Sunday Night Football, Houston beat Chicago by 6. This game was okay. I went to bed at halftime. I was like,
This was an old school game. If you like defense, it had a little bit of both, but it wasn't much going on. And oh my God, the Bears need to figure out their offense.
And Atlanta was getting 5.5 on Monday night, but didn't need it. Because they beat Philly right down to the wire, and that's what won my fantasy matchup.
The number of Giants fans giving Eagle fans crap for Barkley's drop is just insane.
I mean, and it's one of those when I drafted the kicker, I'm like, Atlanta's going to be kicking a lot this year. That was my whole logic.
No. That was one of the best things and they do it every time Atlanta gets a primetime game. They highlight the fact that Younghoe Koo was so bad for the Chargers that he got cut after like a game and a half. And now he's one of the all-time, statistically, he is one of the all-time kickers in the NFL because of Atlanta.
You had that thing again where you slowed down and you sped up. But I know that's going to be fixed very soon because you're getting your fiber put in. Very excited
it
about
happened on your screen as well.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
No, that's today.
Oh, so it's
That's
in?
done. I think you're catching up to me now.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair enough. Let's talk about this week in the NFL currently underway at MetLife Stadium. It is 0-0, little over 2.5 minutes in. Jets getting 6.5 on this, gentlemen. And I will let you make the call.
I apologize. Sorry, go ahead.
I said I'll let you guys make the call on this because the game just started.
Yeah. Don, do you want to go first or do you want me to roll it?
The Jets.
I agree. It's until I see until I see the Patriots actually do something against a decent offense, I can't back them unless the spread is so high it's ridiculous. And that Jets defense is going to come for the immobile Jacoby.
Jets now on offense. Rodgers is in the game. I mean,
is he going to make it 2 plays? That's the record for in the MetLife.
Yeah, it's true. I thought it was 4 snaps he took.
It was 4 snaps, but he never threw a pass.
Fair enough. To Sunday, so let's start with your noon games. Giants go to Cleveland. Cleveland giving them 6.5.
That's a lot for another offense not playing well, but as we saw in week 1, when your defense is competent, the Giants can't score. So I don't know that 6.5 is enough. I'm taking the Cleveland Browns.
Don.
Giants.
This you're going to get a one on the board this week, Alex. Give me the Giants as well. I think they're going to shock the world.
I don't want to be on the board. That's why I'm picking the Browns.
I'll be on my way to the airport when this game is on, so I'll try to watch it at the airport.
We got some quarterback talent coming into the draft.
The Tennessee Titans
bad.
The Green Bay Packers, and Tennessee's giving them 2.5. Give me the Packers because Tennessee hasn't shown me anything yet.
No, Tennessee has given games away, and the Packers have been competent even against competition with minimal. Matt LaFleur is arguably a genius when it comes to offensive play calling, and as long as the defense holds up and they have the talent to, I don't know that the Packers should ever be getting points until they're playing somebody like the Lions.
Don?
Packers.
Chicago goes to Lucas Oil Field.
Ooh.
Indy's giving them 1.5. I wouldn't say give me Indy in this. I don't feel great about it.
Chicago.
But, I mean, Anthony Richardson seems serviceable right now.
I would disagree with that statement respectfully. Both of these teams have been garbage on offense with glimmers of positivity, but the Chicago defense has looked really good. I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago wins this by a touchdown, but it's not coming from their offense.
All right. Houston goes to Minnesota. Oh, by the way, in that Bears game, give me the under at 43.5.
Oh, 100%.
Houston's giving 2.
That's not enough. I don't care what happened with Minnesota and San Francisco. That's just the kryptonite. Mike, you can suck it. No, I owe Mike dinner for that game. I'm not kidding. But I can't in good conscience take Minnesota against a good team like Houston. I don't care if they beat the Niners.
Don?
Take Minnesota. I'm going to be daring.
I'm going to take Houston myself. This is a team that looks very relaxed, and I think it should scare a few people. Philly goes to New Orleans. New Orleans giving them 3, which makes this a pick 'em, which makes no sense. Give me the Saints. They are on a roll.
This is nuts. The Saints have become the NFC least boogeyman all of a sudden. I am going to take the Saints too.
Me too.
It's the smart move. I mean, this is a team that shouldn't be playing as well as they are.
Let me put it in this context. If Philadelphia even looked half decent on defense in either of the first 2 games, that's who I would have taken.
Acupuncture Stadium hosts the Chargers in the battle of 2-0s. Pittsburgh's giving 1.5.
which means the Chargers are actually favored by 1.5 because
Right.
of home field.
Right.
I got to think on this one, Don. Take your Steelers.
Steelers.
I will take his Steelers too. They looked really, really good on Sunday. They've got a little bit of tweaking to do, and I need Pickens to have about 400 yards receiving.
Is this the first home game? I think it is.
Don?
They were in Denver last week, if I remember right.
And they were in Atlanta week 1.
Yeah.
So this is the home opener.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely give me the Chargers.
Okay.
Denver. The Chargers look good. And it's not winter yet, so they're not going to fail just yet.
Denver goes to Raymond James Stadium. Tampa Bay giving them 6.5. Give me Tampa Bay. Denver is in shambles.
I still don't think Denver has looked as bad as their stats and record indicate. Is this an early set game still?
Yes, sir.
Tampa Bay has looked good. I'm gonna have to lean Tampa Bay on this one. I don't feel great about it because I don't think Denver is as terrible as it appears. I think they've just played two really good defenses that has made them look worse.
To me, right now, Tampa Bay looks good enough.
That's a great way to put it. That is an excellent way to put it, which is why I'm on the Tampa Bay side as well. Don.
Tampa Bay on this one.
Carolina goes to Vegas. Vegas is giving them 5. And of course, Carolina's on the road the weekend. I'll be there.
With 5, I'm going to take Carolina.
I was thinking that as well because if I can make a blanket statement, we don't really root against any particular players that don't have a vested interest in one of our fandoms. So we want Bryce Young to be good. We want him to get right.
Absolutely.
He seems to want to do it the right way, but he's not a competent NFL quarterback. And Andy Dalton has been only a competent NFL quarterback his entire career. He'll be able to execute. If you want the underdog picks or whatever, look for whoever's playing running back for Carolina and over on their receptions because Andy Dalton loves to check it down. In case you were wondering why I picked up a guy on the non-football injury list this week, Rob, because Jonathan Brooks is going to be getting a lot of those passes if Dalton remains as the quarterback, and it's going to be enough to cover the 5.
Give me the Raiders.
Oh.
Because now, do I think this lasts much longer? I do not. But I think the momentum they gained last week will carry them through this week. I make no guarantees after that. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. My Dolphins go across the country to Seattle. Seattle is giving the Dolphins 4.5. This game scares me.
Oh, I think this is an auto pick on Seattle.
The Skylar Thompson era has begun.
Oh, you mean the Tyler Huntley era?
No, I mean, he did enough for us last year for a couple of weeks, but across the country, early game. Oh, no, we're into the late set. I'm sorry. Carolina's the first of the late games.
But it's still the hostility that is, Lumen Field.
Yeah. I can't, even at 4.5, I don't think that's enough padding for Miami. I just don't. Don.
I'm going to take Seattle.
Smart move.
So that's a sweep.
The Baltimore Ravens come to AT&T Stadium. Baltimore giving a point.
Oh, that's gone up. It was a pick'em to start.
Give me the Ravens.
It was a pick'em to start. It was half a point earlier. Now it's 1. You know what? I'm going to be real curious to see how this goes because the Baltimore defense has not looked like themselves a lot lately. But Derrick Henry might be pissed because he's like, I left Tennessee to win. What is this? Give me the rock and let me do the thing. He might make Kamara's day look mild.
Wilbon went on a rant earlier this week on PTI about the lack of use of Derrick Henry in the fourth quarter.
Mhm.
And I have to agree because he's on my fantasy team.
But how do you feel about Harbaugh's response?
I did not hear that.
Oh, the response was, well, we didn't bring him in to get more than 15 or 20 carries a game. And it's like, you're paying a dude millions of dollars to do exactly that.
And if he wants the rock, give him the rock.
He's
Don.
never failed.
So yeah, I'm gonna be kind of weird on this one. I'm gonna call the tie at the end. It will be a tie.
You mean a push?
A put? No, I mean.
Or are you
we'll go
saying the
overtime,
game is
tie.
tied?
The game will tie, which means you're taking Dallas +1.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the end it's gonna be a total tie in overtime and all that.
All right.
I would love
rarely
to
do
take
that,
the
but I'm doing
wager
it on this
against
one.
that.
SoFi Stadium and the Rams host the 49ers. This is the question mark game of the week for me. Because this thing.
Did you read the IR list?
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is nuts. And the weirdest part to me, San Fran -6.5.
I don't find that weird at all. Because when you look at it, let me put it in this context. The Rams just got smoked by Arizona, who have no defense, and their offense still hadn't clicked yet. And then you have San Francisco, who didn't win, but they weren't absolutely beaten to death by the Minnesota Vikings. And when you look at who's hurt, San Francisco still has their defense intact. They still have their line intact. Yes, they're missing CMC. Yes, they're missing Debo. Yes, they're missing Kittle. But that team has depth. Not to that extent, but they have depth. The Rams are missing so many people that they are on their third string linemen. I would love to bet the over on Nick Bosa's sacks right now.
I still feel like San Fran -6.5 is too generous. I'm gonna take the Rams and the points.
I pick San Fran.
Let me put it in this context. This is one I'd be looking for a stretch bet of give me it all the way up to like 11.5.
Woo!
Like, I think they win by 2 touchdowns, and the only way it doesn't is if it's a backdoor.
Detroit on the road gives 3 to the Cardinals.
I haven't seen the Detroit we've been expecting. I don't like the idea of taking the Cardinals, but with a full field goal cushion on a team that can score, and Detroit hasn't stopped anybody yet. You know what? Give me the Cardinals as the one that's been beating the drum for them being the most interesting team in the NFL right now. Give me Arizona.
Don.
I'm gonna take Detroit.
I'm going to use the same logic here that I'm using with Vegas. They're going to carry the momentum this week. I make no guarantees after Sunday. Sunday night.
You never
football.
clarified who that means.
Oh, give me Arizona.
There you go.
Sunday night football. The Kansas City Chiefs go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to play the Falcons.
Ugh.
Casey's giving 3.
Yeah,
give me Casey.
I'll take the Chiefs on this one. Atlanta shouldn't have been in there. They didn't look good. Neither did Philly. Cousins put it together on one drive at the end of the game to win it because he likes that. But give me Kansas City.
Don.
Atlanta, right?
Yep.
I can take Atlanta.
We have a doubleheader on Monday Night Football in Week 3, which is a little interesting. At 6:30 Central, we go to Highmark Stadium, shout out, as Jacksonville travels to Buffalo. Buffalo's giving 5.5. It ain't enough. This won't even be close, and I'm willing to say it.
This is one of those games that I don't dislike either side, but I'd look for some movement. If somebody with, dumb money comes in and somehow drops enough on Buffalo to put them up closer to a touchdown, I'd take Jacksonville. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but because it's even decently below that, I feel like the lean is Buffalo.
Don.
I go for my Super Bowl champs. I'm going to say Jacksonville.
They got to start winning at some point if they're going to get there.
That's where they turn it around.
And then as the first quarter will probably be ending in that game, we go to Cincinnati as the Bengals host football team. And they're giving football team 7.5.
I want to hold off on this one, if you don't mind, Don.
Yeah, it's up to y'all.
It's Washington and who?
Cincinnati.
As much as I hate them, I'm going to say Cincy.
I'm going to take the Commanders at 7.5. Nothing Cincinnati has done has showed me that they can blow out a team, let alone win convincingly. Do I think they still win? Sure, but by 3 or 4. I don't think that they wind up covering over a touchdown.
If I'm a betting man, which, yeah, he's out. If I were a betting man, which I am not, I would avoid this game like the plague. But if I must make a choice, as we do on this show, I agree with Alex. Like, Cincinnati has not convinced me yet that they can't. Like, 7.5? That is way too generous.
That's some Skyline chili money that's coming in on the wrong side.
Well, but I also feel like this is Washington by reputation too.
I think this is more along the lines of the fact that they had a gritty win last week because even though they didn't score an offensive touchdown, they got into position for 7 field goals. They got into position, which means that they are exactly one step, and that's the goal line, away from being a legitimate offense. Now, they still don't really have a defense, even though the Giants tried to prove that they did. But if they can score, they're going to stay on it.
You boys ready for baseball? First of all, we had history today.
Yeah, just read the stat line to his game first.
Well, Shohei Ohtani now in the 50-50 club as the Dodgers put 20 on the Marlins. The Marlins scored 2 runs late, so it wasn't, 20-2. But yeah, I like Shohei Ohtani. I don't know how I feel about them examining the possibility of him pitching in the playoffs. I still let him rest up a little bit more. Even people like me that don't like the DH, you cannot deny that he is your front runner for MVP. He's so far ahead of you just give him for both leagues. Like, I'm good with it at this point. Because, he is destroying it.
But it's like all I can remember for years was when somebody was getting towards 50 home runs and how special that was. It always felt like they were stuck there for like a week or two. Shohei is like multiple steals, multiple home runs away, comes up to the dish, goes 5 or 6 for 6, 5 for 5 or 6 for 6, hits 3 bombs, has 10 RBIs, has 2 steals, and just went, oh, that was what we needed? Cool.
Yeah. Congratulations, Shohei Ohtani. Let's get into your standings. AL East, always the most interesting division to watch. Toronto Blue Jays are 16 games back. They're 7 games below 500.
Just good season.
They are a game and a half back on the Rays. The Rays now 2 back on Boston. Your cousin's team is 8.5 back from Baltimore. Baltimore in a bit of a free fall right now, fighting for the wild card as they are now 4 games back on the Yankees. In the AL Central,
not getting help from their bullpen.
The AL Central, we'll get back to it. Minnesota is now tied with Detroit at 8.5 back in the division. They're 2 games behind Kansas City. Kansas City now 6.5 back on Cleveland. By the way, Detroit's won 4 in a row. In the AL West,
been on fire for a while now.
In the AL West, still in the basement. They're 20 games back in the division. They're 62-90.
They're so bad that somebody texted me earlier that said, do you think Shohei would have a shot at 50-50 if he was still on the Angels? I literally just sent back a laughing gif.
Dude, they could still hit the century mark if they don't win, if they lose out. They are that 28 games below 500. They're 4.5 back on the question marks.
Excuse me.
The question marks are now 6 back on the Rangers. Rangers 5 back on Seattle. Seattle now 4.5 back on Houston. In the National League, in the West, Colorado still terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Dear God, they are 35 games below 500, 6 away from the century mark, and they're 32 back in the division. They're let's see, 15 back on San Francisco. The Giants now a little over 10 games back on Arizona. Arizona's 2.5 back on San Diego, and Misty's below the Dodgers again after hanging 20, I almost said 40, which at that point it's all relative. On the Marlins today, they're 4 games up on San Diego. NL Central, Don, your Pittsburgh Pirates, man, they're trying. They're not going to hit the century mark, Don.
Yeah, but still,
they're 10 games below 500.
And you have a really good shot at having the Rookie of the Year and the next Nolan Ryan potentially.
Right. And you're only 2 games back on the Reds. So you could bump one up by the end of the season.
We'll take it.
Reds now 4 back on St. Louis. They are tied with Chicago, but they're both 11 games back on Milwaukee.
Literally just had an update in the Mets game, and it didn't make sense.
Milwaukee has clinched the division. They are the first.
Mm-hmm.
And
you see what they did for Jackson Chorio, who's not old enough to drink?
No.
They filled a baby carriage with his jersey and a bunch of non-alcoholic beers. But apparently he was a really good sport about it. I like that kid a lot.
I feel bad for him on that front.
He's going to be making a lot of money soon enough.
Marlins now 41 games below 500.
Is that all?
We're only 3 away from the century mark. 35.5 games back in the division. 12.5 back of the Nationals. Nationals are 15.5 back on Atlanta. Atlanta's now a 1.5 games back on the Mets. Mets are now 7 games back of Philly. Let's take a look at your wild card standings. If the playoffs started today. In the AL, Yankees, Cleveland, Houston.
Is that locked in, basically?
I don't have letters next to anybody's name yet. I mean, it probably will be by midweek because we only got 10 games left.
Right now, specifically avoided because of this.
Right now, your wild cards are Baltimore, KC, and Detroit.
Okay.
With 10 games left on the season, here is everybody inside 10 games. Minnesota, Seattle, Boston, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Texas. And those last 2 are 7 out. So it is definitely a case of, so you're saying there's a chance.
Not a good one, but yes.
But it could be worse because after that, you've got question marks at 13 back. In the NL, Philly, Milwaukee, Dodgers. If it started today, your wild cards would be San Diego, Arizona, and the Mets. There are only 3 teams within 10 games because San Francisco's at 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta is only a 1.5 games back. The Cubs and St. Louis are both 7 back of the wild card.
I still maintain, Rob, remember, it's us versus the Diamondbacks.
I know.
It's not us against each other. It's us versus the Diamondbacks.
All right, boys, you ready for North America's favorite game show?
I'm for it. Teased it.
Oh, boy.
What is the run differential? Again.
Ooh, can we guess who the team is?
For now 6 months straight. The Chicago White Sox.
What a gentleman.
You know what? I've been out a couple of weeks, so I'm firing blind, but Amber came on the radio when I ran to the store earlier, so in honor of that band, I will go with minus 311.
Don.
Oh. They're trying to get up there. Negative 325.
Oh.
Is the color of your energy.
I didn't do the mean 312. I did 325. I think it may have gone over, not by much.
The White Sox currently.
I like how he's saying that as we can see him looking on his computer at it.
Oh no, it's not that. No, I'm not.
36 and 117.
Oh, quick math. Quick math. 36 and 117, that's
235.
81. Did you see what the reported attendance was 2 days ago at
It was like
what is it, US
18.
Cellular?
There was a
14.
game that they had like 18. Literally 18 was the head count.
2 days ago, it was 14.
14 people showed up to an MLB game.
Yep.
14 people.
Yep.
You get more.
4 times as many people as there are on this show right now. And if you take all the people currently watching, still the same. We got people watching. But yeah, 14.
We can outdraw the White Sox.
There's more people in my department at work. I'm just saying.
So how many, like, do they have to have, like, there's more people on staff there than fans?
Yeah, very much
You-
so.
You got a
Why
lot of
only have one concession?
you got a lot of concession workers that are going home early that day. And I'd be like, can I still get paid? Because this isn't my fault.
Oh, what's even better, they asked the GM in a press conference, are you going to be very active in free agency to try and make sure this doesn't happen again? And he had the nerve, and I had to censor myself to say nerve, to say, I think we have some really good players. We just have to trust the process. No, sir. You trust the process when there is progress.
Now, as we stated last week that Alex told me, they are the only team in their division under 500.
Mm-hmm.
If you combine the number of games back of the 3 teams ahead of them, you would still almost have to double that deficit to get to the White Sox. Minnesota and Detroit are 8.5 back. That's 17. Kansas City is 6.5 back. That's 23.5. The Chicago White Sox are currently 52.5 games back in their division.
That's
We're
not even
champs.
my favorite one. My favorite one was from a few weeks ago that was basically saying the AL Central as a whole was like minus 35 in a run differential. The White Sox, at least at that point, were the only team with a negative run differential. That's how bad they are.
Still is. Because you got, let's see, 78, 218, 248. The rest of the division is plus 253. They are
to double digits.
They are 20 and 58 at home. They are 16 and 59 on the road.
Well, at least they're playing a little better at home.
4 and 6 in their last 10. They've only lost 2 in a row. Alex, had you used that guess last week, you would have been dead on.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Don, you are too high.
But
in the last 7 days, the Chicago White Sox have only lost ground by 2 runs. It is currently minus 313.
They're getting
so
there.
bad. It's so bad.
We're not going to get the record, though. I'm sad about that.
Well, did we establish what that record actually
It
is?
was in the 340s.
You say that like they can't do it. I mean, they've gotten over 300.
I'm not saying it's not possible, but your margin for error is a lot slimmer now because there's only 10 games left. Now, if the Dodgers come to town, that's going to be a lot different. But let's look at their last few games. Oh, amber is the color of your energy.
You're welcome.
All right.
For that, by the way.
This
Oh,
one,
no.
they're at San Diego for 3. Then off Monday, then hosting La, then at Detroit.
So the only one of those that may have nothing thing to play for out of that is against the Angels.
I mean, them sweeping Oakland. Oh, they went 3-1 against Oakland. That helped. But yeah. So we'll do this.
But what I'm saying is Detroit is in wild card position.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego is trying to hold on to wild card position. The Angels are the only team that aren't going to be giving it their all potentially.
So, all right, boys, let's move into television. Man, we got a lot going on tonight. As we get to stuff we watched this week, TV edition. After 2 weeks of that, LA said he's going to write us some interstitial music. I actually have something I watched this week.
Okay.
We've talked about it a couple of times. The new CNN show, Have I Got News for You? Hosted by the great Roy Wood Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I very much enjoyed this show.
May I ask a follow-up before we go too far into it?
Please do.
It is well documented on this show how much of a fan you are of Roy Wood Jr.
This is true.
If the show was with somebody else, do you feel like you would still enjoy it as much?
He doesn't make the show. He just hosts it.
Oh, no, I understand that, but
so
he's an entertainer.
Having Michael Ian Black on one side, who I'm also a big fan of. So the way it works, he's the host, and then he has the captains are Michael Ian Black, and there's another lady that I don't really recognize, but she was very, very funny. Then they have guests with them. So the lady that co-hosts the show with him, or that's the captain, she had a very guy that wrote a book about libertarianism. And then Michael Ian Black had one of the ladies from Black Lady Sketch Show. It's game show like, but it's scored like Whose Line Is It Anyway, pretty much.
Oh, see, I was going a different route. I was thinking more of like Bill Maher, but with an actually talented host.
No, it's not a panel show. It's almost it's a pseudo competition show.
Okay.
I laughed until I stopped. It's a 1 hour show. Now, and I don't know if it's because I watched it on Max because there was breaking news on Saturday night. And so my recording had all the breaking news that CNN was dealing with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched it on Max. Yeah. The dump button was hit many, 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 many times, which I will tell you that story off air.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed this. I think it's only going to be like 6 episodes. But it comes from a British show, I believe. I loved it. And Roy Wood, like they broke him multiple times on this show. But
please remind us the title of it again.
It's called Have I Got News for You?
Have I Got News for You? Okay.
But I very much enjoyed it.
Nice.
Anything you boys watched this week?
You know, I know it doesn't exactly fall into the new category, but I have finally watched the second season of Heels. Then it dropped on Netflix, and y'all should definitely be watching it repeatedly.
Yep.
But without spoiling anything, remember how we were talking about multiple people telling us that we had to get to the finale because of how off the rails it ends?
That is correct.
I don't think anybody did it justice. It's that far.
I'm hoping to get to it this weekend.
Now,
I don't know, but
now the big addendum I will say is you can definitely tell they had no anticipation of being canceled.
Oh wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so add that to your
am I wrong in saying as good as season 1 is, season 2 is that much better?
I was thinking about that while I was watching. I very much enjoyed season 1. I felt more attached to season 1. But from an actual material and acting content standpoint, season 2 is breathtakingly amazing.
Well, and the more I thought about it, it's like they had to do so much world building in season 1 that by season 2, it's like, look, if you ain't caught up, we don't care.
But the other thing I will say is I did start with season 1 to watch that again because it had been a minute. Watching that in a post AEW world, like with it established and everything else that goes along with it, hits really different. it hits very different if you watch season 1 again.
Don, anything you watched this week you want to talk about?
Yeah, two things. First off, that one on CNN he talked about. I saw part of that too, and
What do you think?
yeah. Also, I will say something.
What did you think about it?
What?
What did you think about it?
It was different, which I enjoyed it. It was funny.
It is funny.
How you show the certain things of the Kansas City, all that, and then the cats. It's something different. I enjoyed it. I will say one thing. What Alex said earlier, Bill Maher is very talented, in my opinion. Now, the next thing I'll say,
you're allowed to.
Yep,
Well, he's entitled to his
I'll
opinion.
say this: I did watch High Potential last night. That's a new one with
Caitlin Olsen. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not too bad. Not too bad. My wife likes it. The Fantastic Four. She found it very interesting, and yeah, I can see some. Even though it's called High Potential, I can see some potential with it. But last Sunday was the finale of the season of The Emperor of Ocean Park with Forrest Whitaker.
Okay.
Love to see. It started off okay. As it got going, it got better and better, and at the end, it's like it all came together. If it's on the MGM or whatever network, if you haven't seen it, that's one worth binging.
All right.
Like Alex, you said watch The Bear.
Yes,
that's one where, yes, if it comes back on FX for season 2, yes, I will watch it in a heartbeat. I loved it. This is one.
There's 3 seasons.
I know. But
it's on Hulu, and you can get it on Disney Plus.
If with the Hulu package.
If you have TV or anything with Hulu, yeah.
We can't get on there. We
okay. I thought they were just crossing everything over, but
no, we have to pay for that bundle.
But that's a good note to include, though. Thank you, Don.
Yeah, but the Emperor of Ocean Park, that's one I think. Give it some time. Once it goes through, it really kicks butt at the end. So recommend it on MGM Plus. So.
Apple TV Plus has canceled their adaptation of Time Bandits after one season. I said that was going to be tough to redo because Terry Gilliam is very Terry Gilliam. CBS now not going forward with their reboot of Cold Case. They decided that's not going to be a thing. Shout out to FX as Shogun has the new record of 18 Emmy wins in one season, which is still not even 20% of their nominations. But yeah, I'm still got 3 more episodes to go on that. Hallmark Channel, because Rachel, who's actually in Orlando at Chosen Con right now. Season 12 of When Calls the Heart adds Melissa Gilbert for 2 episodes. Man, I crushed on her when I was a kid. And she still is beautiful. Love her to death. So, NBC Peacock, we have SNL news, boys. Your SNL season premiere is next Saturday, the 28th. Jean Smart from Hacks, you might also remember her from Designing Women. She will be hosting, and Jelly Roll will be your musical guest. October 5th, I'm very excited because this will be his second time, and I'm a big fan. Nate Bargatze will be hosting. Love him to death. And Coldplay will be the musical guest. October 12th, Ariana Grande. And I'm about to melt your brains, boys, because your musical guest, it is only her second time ever as musical guest on SNL, and it's been almost 4 decades as Stevie Nicks is your musical guest. October 19th, Michael Keaton. Very excited about that, with Billie Eilish as your musical guest. They will be taking the 26th off, but November 2nd, John Mulaney and Chappell Roan will be on SNL. I don't think they've ever rolled out that many at one time.
I did see them post the way they posted it with the notes and everything, and I looked at it and I was like, it would be October 19th that they really load up on.
Yeah. Well, that's your birthday weekend.
This is the 50th year, right? Season
50. Yep.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I'm a little busy that day.
Yeah. I'll be flying back, but I'll be back before it airs. Netflix has renewed Emily in Paris for season 5 as season 4 gets underway. They have said that season 2 of Castlevania Nocturne, that anime series, it's going to debut in January. They also announced this week with season 3 of their series Monster, which every year it's about a different serial killer. For season 3, it's going to be Ed Gein, who was the inspiration for Norman Bates, Hannibal Lecter, and Leatherface.
Well, quick note, it's not always serial killers.
Oh, I thought that's
Be-
what it was.
Well, it's famous murderers, yes,
Yeah.
but because you had the first season was Dahmer, the second season is the Menendez
Right.
brothers.
Did you see who's playing Ed Gein?
I did not.
Charlie Hunnam.
Oh,
Yeah.
He's going to play. Playing who?
Ed Gein.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is on Netflix, right? You said?
Yes. It's called,
Yeah.
it's the season 3 of their series Monster.
Okay.
I still say it was disturbing to watch the first season, but the episode called Silence is one of the most amazing feats of small screen cinema I have ever seen.
All right. TV on DVD and Blu-ray this week, season 4 of Queen Latifah's The Equalizer. I kind of fell off after season 2. And Young Sheldon season 6, 7, and the complete series as we are preparing for the debut of the spinoff on that.
Okay, I have a terrible question, and I feel like I've asked this before. Has there ever been a spin-off show that ran that many seasons? Because I feel like Frasier didn't, but I can't think of anything else that was a spin-off that ran that long.
You could go to the Jeffersons, you could go to Different Strokes, because all of those spun off All in the Family.
Did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Today I learned.
But not Joni Loves Chachi. Let's see. One quick musical note. Tito Jackson passed away last week at the age of 70, which I really thought he was older.
It's a fair statement.
A great story told by Yvette Nicole Brown about how the last time she took a whooping from her parents was when she snuck out to see the Jacksons Victory Tour. Love her. And I'm so excited that we're getting a Community movie. All right. For a movie talk, it's time for Stuff We Watched This Week. Movie edition. I didn't see a movie this week, but I did review a movie, which we'll talk about here in a little while. Anything else, boys?
I have nothing for the movies this week.
Going on Netflix, Rebel Ridge.
It is on my list. I have heard great things about this film.
It's good. It's good. You would like it.
It's the same guy that directed Green Room, which is like, okay. It's definitely a departure for him, and it looks great. It looks kind of like a Don. Keep me honest here. It feels like a modern version of Walking Tall.
Kind of in a way, but it's not where the Rock comes for sheriff. It's where it's kind of the opposite.
It's the first half of Walking Tall. It's not the elect. It's not the election or post.
I can feel some stuff in it, but the officer, it's good overall. Has a good story. Jeremy Soliner, that was the director.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and
I didn't watch that. John Johnson does
great
good
work.
in it. Don Johnson does really.
No, it's on my list. I got a whole list in the other room.
You like it? I think you. Like it.
We are getting a sequel. We don't have only a couple things in movie talk, which is good because we're running behind. We're getting a sequel to a movie I think all three of us enjoyed come January.
Go on.
Den of Thieves 2.
Oh yeah.
And the subtitle is Pantera. And Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. are face to face in the one sheet.
Well, the original reports was it was going to be because the setup at the end of the first movie. Spoiler alert, or are we past it?
6 years.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Sets up a diamond robbery, and the original working title that I saw reported was Pandora, and they were like, "No, cease and desist." But no, I hope it's the exact same team altogether. This is one of those times, like we talked about it after seeing the movie. Gerard Butler has this production company, and almost every movie is just crap that you know he had fun making. And then there's Den of Thieves, which is just brilliant and so enjoyable,
so much fun.
And I'm still not over the trailer bait and switch that they did because I actually appreciated it.
Regulators mount up. There's a crowdfunding out there right now that I want to make everybody aware of with Mark Bernardin from Fat Man Beyond and featuring Tiffany Smith, who I think is one of the most underrated actresses in Hollywood right now. They are crowdfunding an anthology movie that they're putting together called Deepest Darkest. I love this concept. Stay with me, boys. She plays a young lady who has a traumatic incident, and as a result of it, she loses her short-term memory. So she goes into business for people that have to confess things to get them off their chest. They tell her these things because she's not going to remember it anyway. And it's called Deepest Darkest, and they're trying to crowdfund it so they can make it. And it's going to be an anthology, so there'll be like 6 different directors doing 6 different stories where she is the linchpin of all of it.
Like I know this is terrible to say, but it almost feels like it sounds like it might be a Memento that's funny.
Well, I don't know what the tone is they're going for, but it looks just the way they're talking about it. I think it's probably going to be kind of dark because this other short film Splinter was. But I want to make everybody aware of it. LeVar Burton is endorsing the crowdfunding.
You know what? LeVar Burton, if you even doubted him for a second and you saw him pop up in Clipped and how he did there, renew that for another 30 years. LeVar Burton gets a pass for another 30 years.
And look up Mark Bernardin's story about meeting LeVar Burton. It's one of my favorites.
You've told me
movie new releases and places you see movie new releases this week. Don has reviewed 2. He actually reviewed 3, and I've reviewed 1. Don reviewed The Substance. This is Demi Moore. She finds out that there is a treatment she can take where she can basically inhabit a younger version, a younger person, but she can only do it for a week at a time. And this is Don. I'm going to venture out here. I'm going to reach out on this limb to you.
Yeah.
Not my bag.
For you, probably not.
Yeah.
No. Is it freaky scary? There's a couple modes. It's just more of a weird neon demon. Clockwork Orange meets everything, but I liked it in the end with the premise. And I saw where I put on our review at www.clubhousepodcast.com.
That's our website.
That's our website.
I could see possible nominations for Demi Moore.
That shocked me when I read that in your review. I was like, wow.
There's a lot of talk. If you go back and listen, if you look and Google that, there is talk about her on this one. Also, I could see best makeup on this too.
Just the one sheet alone, I was like, good Lord.
Yeah. It all makes sense when you see it, but it was done right for what it was. But very not for the kids. Not for the kids.
Don also reviewed Never Let Go. This is the new film from Halle Berry, which I still can't believe you actually screened this. God love you, sir. This looks like an alternate.
I did for the kids.
This looks like an alternate timeline, A Quiet Place.
Well, and like you were explaining it to me because I hadn't seen anything, and I was like, "Oh, so they ripped off the rope part from Bird Box." Cool.
Yeah, basically.
And then
the performances by the 2 kids in there was good. I will give that.
Were they good for kids or were they good?
They were good. They were especially for kids or both. I really enjoyed their performances. They did good. I'll give them that.
I tend to be the bastion of hate towards child acting, in case anybody's wondering why I ask.
We have a foreign film this week called What We Find on the Road from the MDib. In Estranged Dad challenges TJ with a vintage car on his 18th birthday, urging a cross-country road trip. With eccentric companions, TJ embarks on a humorous, resilient journey, realizing life's longest roads can lead home. So that's this week. We also have, we have a documentary about Patricia Field called Happy Clothes this week. And we also have something called A Mistake. This has Elizabeth Banks in it, as well as Mickey Summer. In the midst of a new scheme to publicly report surgeon's performance, a gifted surgeon's life is thrown into disarray as her colleagues begin to close ranks, and even her partner, who is a nurse at the hospital, turns her back on her. And this week, the big one. I've been waiting for a month to talk about this. Transformers 1 is upon us tomorrow. I loved this movie so much. And I'm actually going to be talking about it a little bit more this Saturday on Matinee Heroes, because Alan went to the screening. So we talk about that a little bit as we also talk about The Running Man. So tune into Matinee Heroes on Saturday for that. But I'm telling you, I dug this movie.
Now, I have two questions for you.
Yes, sir.
I have seen people talking about this being the best of the Transformers movies. Would you rank it within the top 5?
I would put it right up there with Bumblebee.
And is Bumblebee your number 1? Because I know we both loved that.
I need to go back and watch the first one.
Mhm.
I put the animated 80s one in a different category. Something in my eye. Because it was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You know. But they just, after that first live action, they just got progressively worse. And Dawn don't do it.
Exponentially.
But this one works for me on every level.
Okay.
There's great Easter eggs in it. I'm still trying to find out. There's a shot in the post-credit scene that's an homage to something, and I can't find it. But I put that in my review of, like, if anybody knows what this is, please tell me.
Well, the second question I was going to ask you is where they might be able to find that review.
At www.theclubhousepodcast.com.
That's our website.
Our website.
The buttons work again. But I really did enjoy this film. Don didn't enjoy it as much as I did, but
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I thought,
the only question I had in that scope is, did you laugh at Tron?
I don't think Don caught that.
That's what I was getting at, was that there might have been other things going on that you very much enjoyed.
I giggled like a child when that happened. Yeah. All right, movies on DVD and Blu-ray this week, where you get DVDs and Blu-rays. Despicable Me 4, which I very much enjoyed. The Nicolas Cage horror film Longlegs, hard pass, but I've heard good things. But I've heard it kind of falls apart. I've heard good things, but I heard it kind of falls apart at the end.
I've heard nothing but bashing for this.
Bad Boys Ride or Die, which I very much enjoyed. And I have the soundtrack and the score. The Russell Crowe The Exorcism.
Mm-hmm.
The very popular, and we're getting a sequel to the film, In a Violent Nature, which is a slasher film told from the killer's POV.
There is one particular, the yoga murder has been said you need to watch it, if only for that, unless you don't like horror, in which case just cover your eyes and pretend that's not happening.
Film that we interviewed the filmmakers a few years ago. I want to say it was either Diff or Oak Cliff. A Fat Wreck, the Punkumentary, is finally getting its DVD release this week. The 50th anniversary of the original Murder on the Orient Express. Arrow has American Horror Project Volume 2, as well as Blood Money 4 Classic Westerns. We're covering, Alex, I don't think you were here for this, but I'm making a block of this particular thing for Arrow Video and for Shout Factory.
Okay.
Criterion Collection releases Happiness, which that film is anything but, as well as Greg Araki's Teen and Teen Apocalypse Trilogy, which is, the first film is totally up, The Doom Generation, and Nowhere. All right, boys. Let me do the thing over here, because we got to change gears. Go. Oh, so I found out that if I change back to the other brand, it cuts off the video. Good to know.
Interesting.
Let's talk about the Cheap Popcast as we get into pro wrestling. Victory Road was a thing last Friday night. I did watch it in its entirety. 3 of 5 titles changed hands, but they all went back to the people that had them before.
So system reset.
Mike Bailey regains the X Division title. Spitfire regains the Knockouts tag titles. Had they lost, they would have had to disband. The system regains the world tag titles. We did have our liaison from NXT, Ariana Grace, meet her father, which was a wonderful...
The NXT Legion.
And Steph DeLander saying she needs neck surgery. She's going to be out for a while. And Don, there was a moment.
What's that?
That I think you will believe in. So Joe Hendry takes on Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the match, Josh Alexander goes for the low kick.
Okay.
He turns away. Hendry no-sells it.
Okay.
Josh turns back around. And Hendry reaches inside his trunks, and it takes him forever. But not only does he pull a cup out of his trunks,
Okay.
the cup has a picture of Joe Hendry's face on it.
See, okay, I was going to say that's a Kurt Angle.
But yeah, he had a picture of Joe Henry and a picture of his own
adding
face.
the face is
Yeah.
Joe Henry.
That was it made me giggle like a child. WWE news, it would appear that MCMG have signed, which I don't know if that's what they're going to go by, but it is the Motor City Machine Guns. There is no start date listed. But also Motor City Machine Guns.
With who?
WWE.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not be shocked to see them on the CW premiere.
I was going to say that or the week after, but this is also going to be our first post Paul Levesque, specifically saying it that way, era big name coming in, whereas Julia is a big name, but there's not really branding between Japan or Magnolia and the United States. So this is the first domestic signing since that big change that had an established name. So we're going to see what happens with that.
A tag team that will not be going to NXT, from what I have read this week. The Lucha Bros will go straight to main roster.
And the rumors I have heard is that is Netflix day one is when they show up.
Okay with it. We said that they're saying this week that Raw will have commercials, but how it's being handled, we don't know yet. So congratulations to Lyra Valkyria. She is now engaged to LJ Cleary, who she has been with for a very, very long time. And boys, you know that thing where you read something and then you get excited and you're like, oh, you were that close.
I exist, yes.
December 14th, which I want to talk about for a completely different reason. # December 14th. We have, the good news is we have the return of Saturday night's main event. The bad news is it's going to be at 8 Eastern from the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, which I assume it's going to be live or very, very quickly tape delayed. The whole point of Saturday night's main event was to take the place of SNL when they take a week off. So if you were my age back then, not the age I am now, but if you were the age I was in its height, you taped it and you watched it the next day because it was 11:30 Eastern. But it's going to be a thing, and we're getting Saturday night's main event, so I'm happy. I love Saturday.
Did you hear the other rumor with that?
When they had that show here in Dallas years ago, when
I was there.
Yeah, Orton and RKO Hulk Hogan in the back and everything. That was a 7 o'clock start here also. It wasn't a late night, and they only had like.
No, I know that, but I'm talking about the way Saturday night's main event was.
I know.
And then we did that twice. Alex, go ahead.
The rumored of who your color commentator is going to be, at least for a part of that.
I have heard that Gorilla. That's the best Jesse Ventura.
The former governor of Minnesota.
Hey, Captain Freedom. That was his character in The Running Man. Which again, tomorrow or Saturday, Matinee Heroes. Download it. Yeah. What?
I remember it being something awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposedly based on Hogan on some level because he still had the full head of hair. But
and it's glorious. Bandana. That hairpiece. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have the bandana when you first see him because he's doing his workout.
Right, but later on, it's held on by the bandana.
What are they going to be doing with Ventura?
He's going to be doing commentary for Saturday night's main event.
Okay. When's that going to be specifically? What night? This Saturday.
December 14th, Don.
December 14th. Okay.
I need you to pay attention to the show that you were on.
Okay, because I thought you were saying, I just wanted to do double check because that's what I thought. That he was going to do the. Okay, because I heard you say, yo, brother, and then I'm like, you went to Hulk Hogan.
I said Gorilla.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. I didn't know you were thinking Ventura at the time. Just
I can't say you don't make the show interesting, Don.
I try.
Ay vey. All right, SmackDown. I want to talk to Fox for a minute. Fox, I want you to hear me. I thought maybe it was WWE, but it's not. Why in the name of all things good and holy were you broadcasting SmackDown in 720p for years? Because last Saturday was the debut on USA and it was in 1080p and I could tell the difference. Come on, man. Killing me, Smalls. I do like the new logo a lot.
It
Big
is a
fan of
very
the-
slick logo.
And is it still a rubber match after 4 matches?
If there's anything undecided, I think it qualifies as a rubber match.
Because I feel like the third match should always be the rubber match, and then after that, it's just a tiebreaker.
Well, I got a question about that show because
Sure.
I did the thing where I did the DVR on it.
Uh-huh.
And it stopped recording right at the time when Cody is about to go into the ring or something like that with the contract thing.
Really?
Yeah. And the thing was, because Fox ended at 9, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But how late did this thing go over? Because if I need to adjust my DVR to go 15 minutes over,
You're going to need to, because they have already said that they're going to run over just like everything else does. The difference when they were on Fox was Fox had a hard stop at 9 for local news. USA doesn't have that problem. So I would say, to be safe, set your DVR. Because for those of you that don't know, Don is still a Uverse customer, and I love that about him.
Yeah.
But you have to manually set your DVR for some things with Uverse. But yeah, you definitely want to put some overrun on there, because AEW will put the overrun in. WWE is not real good about that. So,
well, in that same scope, it's kind of how the contracts are worked out, where AEW is a Turner property on that television level. So they have to get it cleared and have it already booked that way. WWE USA has just said go for it, which is why you had the 5 to 10 minute overrun this time.
but I will say this, more often than not, Raw ends on time.
More often than not, yes. But I think
NXT,
we're going to have a lot of moving parts with the changing in times.
Yeah. NXT runs over every week, which I think once they go to CW, I think that stops.
We'll find out.
But I mean, CW does do local news, but they don't have like a network news, which Fox doesn't either. But so now the LWO apparently taking over the angle for the New Day. Yay.
Maybe.
Yay. And does anybody else notice that Wendy Chu's music sounds like the music they play on Peacock when you're waiting for the plea to start?
Yes, it does. It's a deeper tone, but it's very much similar.
She came out on Tuesday, and I was like, "Why does this?" Oh, this is the on hold music for Peacock. Yeah. AEW news: Thunder Rosa out again with a concussion. No timetable for her return. Watching Dynamite last night. By the way, last week's Ring of Honor was finally the last of the Arlington footage, because I watched most of it before the show tonight, and it was in the same arena. So,
but before we get too far away, the last thing I had for WWE is NXT is getting into the unwatchable zone again.
It's rough.
Like,
rough right now.
As you would probably want to say, I love Booker as a human being. Get him off the desk. Ava, I want her to do well. She's getting worse. Get her off the show. I don't care who her dad is. This is garbage on the highest degree with both of them. And I've actually been getting better feelings from the talent between Ethan Page, the way Trick Williams has come along, Roxanne, Oba Femi is a star. D'Angelo going with the Rocky 3 bits. I love it.
Speaking of Booker T, this past week they aired the first of 3 episodes of Reality of Wrestling that will cover Summer of Champions. So we're still a month behind, but they are starting to air those episodes. Now, you had this was a connection I didn't make until I watched Reality of Wrestling this week. Hollywood Haley J
Mm-hmm.
To show you Hollywood, which is where the connection, I had to look it up. If you want to know how far behind WoW is, she was in a tag team in WoW called the Mother Truckers, which I have to investigate. And she was one half of their tag team champions until 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw her. I'm like, is that Holly Swag? And I looked it up. I'm like, yeah, sure is.
If you do not know, that's her real mother, too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they go into depth on that if you watch Wrestlers on Netflix. Because she's one of the ones in OVW where they talk about them going to WoW. And I want you to think about this. They talk about them going to WoW, and they filmed that 2 years ago.
Yeah. But as we learned at the Dallas International Film Festival, when I met Sophia Lopez, they tape 6 months at a time. And they have changed ring announcers. Lauren Hunkley is no longer their ring announcer. But I do like the new set. They just started their new season this past week. Great new set. Willie Mack is now the chocolate juggalo. So adjust your roster accordingly.
Where's he at right now again?
He's in Ring of Honor.
Okay. Chocolate Gigolo.
Yeah.
He
Juggalo.
has used that.
Juggalo. Okay.
Yeah, because of ICP.
Yeah, he has used that in the Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, because he was wearing his JCW gear that looks like Willy Wonka. It was very strange.
Yeah, I like Willie Mack.
And here's your trivia for the week. Based on his T-shirt, when Jeff Jarrett debuted, I was 13. Yeah. I saw his shirt on Dynamite last night. I was like, oh. Because I was watching Wrestling with Regret, and I think it was a 2001 Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Zane was like, why is it I look at any pay-per-view from any age in this entire thing, and somehow, somewhere, Jeff Jarrett's there?
Well, you know what my favorite one to do, especially because like we had Julie over, the nugget I love to drop whenever Jeff Jarrett shows up and goes, there's Taylor Swift's first employer. And they just watch people's brains melt.
But that's all I've got this week, gentlemen. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
It was a pretty blasé week. It really was. And man, it seems like we're about to hit a dead zone, especially with Bad Blood already being lined up for WWE. I feel like they're just like, yeah, here's the stuff people kind of want to see. I think what the other thing, since H has long-term booking, I want to make a statement, and I would like both of you to react.
Okay.
Based on likelihood, anything, what you want to say. 2025 Royal Rumble winner, Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, we got a lot of story to tell between now and then.
I know we do, but I think we're going to have a lot of not straightforward stuff. And then the only way Sami can get a title shot is by winning the Rumble or something. And they're going to tell that as the long story. Because remember, Sami is one of the original H guys, one of the original indie guys that he brought in. So, and Sami's awesome. Really want him to cut his hair, but he's awesome.
I like Sami a lot, but I'll be more interested in how that plays out after Monday night. Because if Jey Uso loses that match, I would put him in the conversation.
Okay, so if Jey Uso loses the Intercontinental title match, you can see him becoming a potential Rumble winner.
Correct.
I can see that from here. The only issue I take with it is I think that his singles run is going to be coming to an end in the relatively near future. Before November.
I thought that too. But then I saw what Rikishi put out there the other day, and I'm a little concerned.
That's already been cleared. People have talked to Jimmy, and he has openly said, yeah, it's just my dad being extra.
Okay. Because when he said prayers for Jay, I was getting really...
Jimmy,
I was getting really concerned.
Yeah, no, that was a justifiable concern, but any people close to the idea has been like, Rikishi is a stirrer. You know, he's the one that started the Samoan dynasty on the independents and has, let's say, tagged the company with any bloodline stuff, not just because his kids are in it, but him going like, hey, I can be part of it too, and I have all these other Samoans.
All right, Don,
So
you got
yeah,
anything you want to talk about? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alex. I
No,
apologize.
no. Go ahead. I got one more after that.
Oh no, I wanted to talk about because you say we get this done. I want to talk about actually last month when I went to Atlanta.
How much do you have? Because it's 8:30 now.
Couple minutes, if that's all right.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, went there, saw Chelsea play. I liked the how everything was kind of put to that touristy area for someone downtown to go where we were at.
Atlanta does have a great downtown.
Yeah. We were in a hotel literally right across the street from the Centennial Park. And they have a really, really nice what they did is he revamped it after the unfortunate incident there, and how they were able to put a great memorial there and a bunch of fountains and everything. That was really cool, really classy. But it was really great because down the block, about 2 blocks away from where we're at by the park, right across the street from that park in one area, is the World Coca-Cola, which is great.
Which I got a couple Funko Pops from. Thank you, Don.
Yes, no problem. The going in there, the store was cool at the end, but the last thing you do is you go to the area where they have all the free soda and they give you cups and just drink away, and they have a restroom right there just in case. But they'll tell you once you go into that store, you can't come back. And the Fanta Plum from China basically tastes like barbecue sauce, was great. But it's the only place in the world that has the new Coke from 1985. It's the only place where you could actually get and drink the new Coke. So,
and I'm going to say it, the Oreo Coke Zero is delightful.
Okay, we'll talk about that often, but I'm interested on that one. So doing the World Coca-Cola is good, but you're going to spend a lot of money. But they have the big safe where they keep the recipe, which is kind of cool there. They make it more showy than it needs to be, but still it's inside that safe, which is kind of cool. They tell the story about the whole company and some of the decor there was really great. Then the one thing is you go the other direction and they have all within walking distance, they have the Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the Falcons play, and right next to that is the State Farm Arena where the Hawks play. The arena the arena for the BMW arena for the Falcons. It did make us mad that they did not. If you ever go there, anything like this, bigger than that, they're not going to allow you in. My wife had a little 6x8 purse, and nope, too big. You're not allowed in. Only like a little bill folder they allowed you to bring in. You can put it over there, pay $10, and have to check it in and all that. Yeah, go ahead.
You mean Mercedes-Benz?
Yeah, Mercedes-Benz. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. You said BMW. I just wanted to make
I'm
sure.
Sorry, Mercedes-Benz. My mistake. I will say this: the stadium's nice, but I saw the Chick-fil-A there. But the thing is, there's not much big signing. If you really have to look on the walls to see like where the restrooms is or certain things, that's the only thing downside I would say. But it did make Faith mad, saying not allowing anything this size in there. Just keep in mind, if you ever go there, don't just your little billfold. That's it. Don't allow anything. Chelsea won. They played the Americans. But I'll say this about we're on the Chelsea side. Across on the other end zone was where the goal was, where the Americas team was. And that's like the Latin American team. Even though Chelsea won 3-0, the entire time those fans are blowing the horns, the flags are going.
Oh yeah, soccer were a thing, bro.
Yeah, they were like, our team's playing. We don't care. We're getting clobbered. So, but overall, I mean, we got an Uber from the airport. I'll say this: the one thing that may be bad about the airport is if you're to take an Uber, you have to go through 2 parking garages and go a long walk just to do an Uber.
Versus I've been through that airport, and you walk the better part of a mile to get to ride sharing from the terminal.
Yeah, that's one downside I'd say too.
You'll get your steps in. Trust.
Yeah, but I'll say if you're going to go there, we stay at the Embassy Seats right by the park. It's all within walking. If you want to see all that stuff, the aquarium's there too, and everything else. The park's nice. If you're going to go to the game, stay in that area. You won't. It's all walking. It's a good place. Overall, it's a good trip. Just the bag thing made Faith mad, but still a good trip. But the World Coca-Cola is for $22. Don't get the tour. Don't pay extra for the tour. because you're not going to get too much out of it more.
Okay.
I said, why not try it? But after doing it, don't pay for the tour. Just go into pay normal, you know.
All right.
So, all right.
And Alex, you had something else?
I honestly forgot it. It must not have been important.
All right. We thank you guys for being a part. Remember, patreon.com. Look for Sunset Lounge DFW. $5 a month, and you get some access to some great stuff. And there's a whole ton of stuff coming very soon. Get it on the ground floor. And you might get an email about maybe a special that's running. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. You can also visit our website, www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Find out everything you need to know and some stuff you don't. Follow me on your social medias if you'd like. Everything is Yes That Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN. If you're on the video, hit that QR code up there in the upper right corner where you will get to our link tree for those of you checking out the audio. Everything except TikTok, which we have a TikTok video up now, and Twitter. Everything else is The Clubhouse Podcast. Those two are Clubhouse Show.
I'm Vexploit on all social media. If you want to check out the show and go through Patreon, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you happen to go to our social media, Facebook, The Clubhouse Podcast, for this show's post, we do have the links for our YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon at the Sunset Lounge available within the comments of that post. If you also want to hit that QR code and head to the store and help out the show, you can catch us at prowrestlingtees.com and search for the Cheap Popcast. Every bit goes to you. If you are an artist and you want to contribute designs, you will get paid for every shirt sold.
Hey, you're only because of those awesome shirts that make me look good. prowrestlingtees.com/cheap podcast. And at Twitter, I'm at Voodoo. IGVNUUU. If you want this madness to your place, email me, Don, to clubhousepodcast.com.
We love doing live remote shows. Check that out and email Don. We can come do that for you. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Marshall is on Pinterest because we're morally obligated to say that. She has a brand new venture that she launched, so go check that out. We'll be back next week, and we're going to talk about more state fair foods because they've left out the entire list of everything new at the State Fair of Texas this year. We're going to talk about that next week. And the boys have already agreed, no peeking, because we're going to surprise you. And we're going to keep a tally of who would eat what if we decide.
They keep sending me emails, keep wanting to look, but nope.
Yep. So until next time, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. And I think Brittany Palmer would put December 14th on her calendar too.